Episode 1. Rest, not worship. The Lie That Sabbath Was Never for Gathering series title, Sabbath Under Fire. Exposing the 8 lies that deny God's commandment. They say the Sabbath was just for resting, not worship. That you're not supposed to leave your house. That going to church is breaking the Sabbath. That preaching or teaching on the Sabbath is working. And some even claim Jesus changed the commandment because he healed on the Sabbath. But behind all these claims is one massive lie. The Sabbath was never meant for gathering or worship. Let's expose this deception with the Word of God. Leviticus 23:3 says, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. A holy convocation means a sacred assembly, a coming together, not isolation, not hiding in your home, not disconnecting from God's people, but uniting for worship. The Sabbath is a day of rest and gathering, not one or the other, both. Anyone who teaches otherwise is not reading the full verse. Even Jesus, the author of the Sabbath, honored this. Luke 4:16 says, And he came to Nazareth, and as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. Let that sink in. It was Jesus' custom to attend Sabbath services and teach the Scriptures. So ask yourself, if Jesus, the sinless Son of God, gathered on Sabbath, why don't you? They say the Sabbath was for resting at home, pointing to Exodus 16:29. But they ignore that the same book, Exodus, later commands public sacrifices and offerings every Sabbath. Exodus 20:8-11, Numbers 28:9-10. Were the priests sinning for serving on Sabbath? Did Jesus violate the law when he healed and taught? No, because doing good on the Sabbath is lawful. Matthew 12:12. This isn't about Pharisaic traditions. It's about honoring what God defined as holy. And what about the future? Isaiah 66:22-23 says, From one Sabbath to another shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. All flesh, not just Jews, not just Israelites, but every nation, tribe, and tongue. Where? In worship. When? On the Sabbath. That hasn't changed. That won't change. So here's your challenge, and I dare you to answer it. If the Sabbath was only for rest, why did God call it a holy convocation? If worship was not part of the Sabbath, why did Jesus and the early church gather every Sabbath? And if the Sabbath was abolished, why does Isaiah say, we'll all keep it in the new earth? You won't find a single verse that abolishes Sabbath worship. You won't find a single command to move worship to Sunday. And you won't find Jesus rebuking anyone for gathering on the Sabbath. But what you will find is a holy command, sealed in stone by the very finger of God, that begins with one word: remember. They want you to forget, but God says, remember. Remember the Sabbath. Remember to gather. Remember to worship. Because obedience is not legalism, it's love. And love is what leads us back to God's holy day. Prove me wrong.